kind of like we were not compatible any longer.
I just wanted a new life. I wanted a change in my life. This is where I was like really in the wrong.
You ready for a fun video?
You do know what we're doing today.
Oh, it's not fun, is it?
No. Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to today's video. For today's video, we have a bit like of an unexpected video, but... You're alright.
Sorry.
What's inspired me to do this video today is just the fact that, to start off, it's been a year since it's actually happened.
Oh my god, it has.
But also, just the fact that I feel like we've never talked about this.
Hey, I talked about it a little bit on my channel, but
yeah. And also, when we mention like in videos like, oh, like we broke up before, people are always like confused, and I still get DMs and like comments to this day being like, wait, so y'all like broke up? I'm so confused, like can you do a story time on this?
The thing is, I just wasn't comfortable admitting what happened. Hey, shit happens in relationships. That's the
yeah, I think this video also is just to prove that like as perfect as our relationship might seem online, like other couples online, it's not always like that. And this video actually was inspired by a video that Jack and Gab did recently as well, where they talk about their breaking up a year ago. So that really did inspire. Yeah, so
it must be Christmas period, like couples just break up.
You know, okay, we're gonna stop yapping and just say the story. But before I do start the story time, I just want to tell you guys that if y'all subscribe, hit the bell, and comment down below, the notification squad shout out, both me and Ant are gonna go follow you down below. So go do all three. Like, get a follow from the gays. I'm just gonna go way back to when I moved to England. I moved to England over a year ago, or November of last year. So I think with me, like one thing that I always tend to do is I tend to make decisions, like really drastic decisions, and like make them really quickly. Like really big decisions, like moving to England. Like I made that decision very quickly. Will I ever regret it? No. Do I wish I would have put a bit more research and time looking into where I was gonna be living and all these things? Yes, because that was probably one of the primary causes of this whole breakup. So when I moved, all I had in mind was that he was going to be going to university in this town called Southampton in England. I've been to where he like originally is from before, because when we were long distance, I would travel back and forth to Canada and his hometown. And his hometown is really pretty, like there's like a nice beach, it's like a really cute town. So my mentality was like, okay, well, he's only going an hour away, so it might just be the same. Like,
how bad can it get? And it got bad.
Like, how bad can it be? Like, but honestly, like, it's my fault for not doing my research again. Yeah, I just wanted to live where he was living, and that at that time was when he was going to university. Yeah. And little did I know on my arrival, it was what's like the nicest way to describe Southampton?
Not that great.
Like one main street,
and
there's like one mall.
It's
a lot of very weird people.
Pretty bad, yeah.
Basically, it's like a really like rundown university town. So that's the best way I can describe it. So that already was a big downer when I got there, but again, I was still set on moving there because he was there. So after like 2 weeks, I think, of like looking at properties and all this stuff, I rented my first ever apartment. And I think I did like a tour on my channel at some point. This also is a big part of it, but for my first apartment, it was like really bad. It was like very depressing. The kitchen was like closed off, like it was like in a closet. It was very gloomy and dark. The windows weren't like too big, and if they were like really skinny.
Ugh, it was drafty.
It was very drafty, so it was always really cold.
Oh my god, the door literally had the tiniest little lock like this. I could slip a bit of paper in there and undo the lock. Like that's just how it was.
Yeah, it wasn't very secure. Like there was a lot of crackheads in the building, by the way. And also I moved in November, so that's like the start of winter here. So that's when it starts getting really cold and like gloomy, and like I'm just gonna tell you guys like a typical day by day for me, just so you guys understand like what mental state I was at in this current period. He would go to school every day, and he would go to school like long hours.
So like I had 3 lectures, which is 3 hours, but I just worked all day. Like I had to be on top of my work, and it was my first year of uni, so I didn't.
Yeah, it was his first year of university, so this is not to be like I'm in the wrong or you're in the wrong. I just want you guys to understand like both our mental situations at this point. He was very concentrated on school because it was his first year of uni, and me on the other hand, like I had dropped out of college, and basically like my daily life was just like I would be filming videos in this really gloomy cold, dark apartment every single day, editing, filming. If I'm being honest, for me personally, there was like nothing else to do in that town. He was at school all day, I was in my gloomy, cold apartment all day, filming, like just non-stop working.
You overworked yourself.
In Canada, it was like almost the same situation because I overworked myself in Canada, but I saw my parents and sister every day, so I had like conversations. I saw my friends every weekend. It was a nice big house that was like warm and like had all these different rooms. Like I went from like that to the same situation where I was just overworking, but in a gloomy, dark, cold apartment with no one because he was at school all day. So he would leave like early in the morning and come back kind of like late-ish at night. And another big factor to add to like that depressing state was that you at this point were on your
okay, so I think the main
pills.
thing of why I was in a crappy place, didn't have any social life. On top of that, when I did see him, I was on my acne tablets, which is Roaccutane, and it just changes your mental stability. So from a really happy, positive person my whole life, I suddenly went for a phase of being extremely angry, not being able to control my emotions, and intense mood swings. I just had no idea what was happening to myself. Ended up being, when we was together, that I was actually pushing you further and further away because I was so mean to you, and it was none of our faults, but I just didn't know how to react. Like, I think one time I even punched a hole in a wall. Ridiculous, I punched a hole in a wall, and I'm literally the happiest person ever, and like, I punched a hole in a freaking wall.
I mean, like, we didn't share any of this back then, but yeah, no, so that was literally like our life. Like, he'd be in school all day, then would come back home to me, and then he'd be like angry, kind of, and like mood swingy because of his pills.
I think it's almost bipolar. Like, I turned
I think
bipolar.
they definitely made you bipolar.
Yeah.
Not going out. Like, I went out with his friends maybe like once every 2 weeks or something. That was like my only social interaction really with anyone else. From November to the very end of January, that was my life. Mental health wise, at the start I was like doing alright. Like, if that's your life like every day for like a long period, like that fucks you up. So this is when everything started to go really downhill. And at this point, I just wanted to change in my life, and I was like, I've done this for 3 months. I'm fucking depressed. I'm not okay mentally. Like, I need to make a big change in my life. I had started being called for a lot of meetings in London. I was just like, okay, well, I live like 2 hours from London, so I'm gonna try to go out there as much as I can because I'm fucking depressed in the city, in my flat by myself. So I have management in London, so they tried to get me like a few things, so I would try to go out there as much as I could for meetings. And every time I would go out to London, I would always be like amazed, because like I would go from like a really depressed, like small town, and then I would like ride up into like London, and it'd be like all flashy, like lights, like people, like business, and like it was such a different mood, and I would always like smile when I was there. And like, to be honest, like it's probably one of the only times I'd be smiling, but every time I would enter London, I'd be like smiling and like looking around and like, wow, like there's so much like opportunity and like all these things here. There was so much happening here. I even had friends that I knew here, and then I would also have to go back to like that depressing kind of like home. So I chose many things. One was to move to London. Just, I'm not happy here. I'm like literally, I think I could call it depression. Like, I was going on diets. Like, I could go like really deep into what I was doing over there. We're gonna go that deep. Like, I would like have a lot of eating disorders, like a lot of eating disorders over there. Like, it was just like physically,
and I try to help you.
But I think at the end of the day, it's like, no matter what you told me, like at the end of the day, you were like gone all day, so you couldn't control what I was doing when I was home from like morning to night.
I just noticed that you would eat ice cream and then just...
I can't even explain my mental state back then because it was like so fucking bad. Like, now I'm eating like you probably never see me eat like I have like in the last like 6 months.
I'm
like,
so happy about how your diet is right now and your lifestyle. If I look like completely dead in this video, it's just like it's hard for me to like listen.
It's definitely hard to talk about. Alongside with wanting a different life and wanting to move, I just wanted a new life. I wanted a change in my life. Obviously, with the mood swings,
it's kind of like we were not compatible any longer.
So at that point, once when I decided to move, like a week later, I also decided to break up with Ant. I mean, like, I'm not gonna go into too much detail about this. I didn't do it over text or over FaceTime. Like,
he said, hey, when can I come back? And then I buy him Nando's, and then he sleeps round,
really hard.
Then he sleeps round, and then the next morning we record a video for me. He looks completely depressed. We stopped the video and I'm just like, what's up? Yeah, and then he was just like,
I think in my head though, it's like I'm always scared to hurt people, and it's totally awful, and it's definitely one of like my New Year's resolutions. But like this year is just like, I'm gonna be so upfront with people now. Being upfront sometimes is better than like sugarcoating everything, because I didn't want to ruin his day by telling him like, okay, let's break up. So I kind of just went on with the day, and I was like, okay, I can't do it. It was like one of the hardest things I've ever had to do was like break up with you.
I somewhat knew you were gonna say it, because I just knew our relationship wasn't, I was trying to hold on to it when really I needed to let go. I knew it wasn't working out right then, but I thought the best way to get through it is just to stay together. But you ended up thinking otherwise, so we broke up, but I think that was probably the right decision. And at the time you said it, deep down I knew that was probably right to do, even though it fucking hurt. But it wasn't until after we broke up where I just thought that you started not caring. And anyway, the camera died and we're back, and it's probably good because it was getting deep and raw there.
Right, so at this point now, so I had moved to London and I had ended things with Ant. This is where I was like really in the wrong, and like I'm not gonna go into too much detail of like anything, but I'm gonna give you guys like the gist of it. So for the longest time in my life, like literally since I was like a kid, I always thought about like other people first and never put myself like first. And it's only until last year, and for like the first time in my life, I was like kind of like fuck everyone, and like
really fucking,
and like I'm just gonna care for myself for once and do what makes me like happy.
Yeah.
I did a lot of things that like I regret doing that made me grow as a person. I was in a happier place, London, and I was, you know, doing stuff, I was going out and all these things. So my mental health was getting better. So once my mental health started coming back to me, I realized that what I was doing was like not okay. I was regretting everything. I moving to London, I was like regretting everything. And now that I was back to being myself, I regretted a lot.
You realized,
and I made me realize a lot of things. And fuck, I should have never ended things with Ant. Like, I need him. I've lived stuff and I've met people and all these things, but I just, like, I want him, I want to experience these things with him.
And when you realize that I didn't take you back, I didn't want you back. And it wasn't until like it took about 3 to 4 months to, you know, slowly rebuild trust with each other and build up our relationship back. We both still loved each other at that point, and it was hard for me to be like, no, I don't want you back. It was just raw emotions at that point, and it took us 4 months to get back together.
I wanted my life with him back, but I didn't want my life in Southampton back then. I messaged him, I said, let's hang out, like I missed you, all these things. And then he started coming to London more and more from Southampton. He started doing the same thing I was starting to do when I moved to London.
I even surprised him and I didn't text him, and I knocked at his doorstep.
Yeah, he came to my doorstep at some point. So we started getting close again. So like from March, April, we started going on vacations together. May, things started getting really a lot better. And then by the summer, starting of the summer, like we were just like each other again. And so he was on summer break, and then that's when you chose to quit uni and just live out
a long decision. I've done a video on it as well. It was hard, and you know, I know if I didn't do that, none of our life would have happened.
So since the summer now, we've been living together in London. We've been a lot happier since then. I think
this video's been very depressing to watch, but it's very real, and I just want everyone to know I'm just couldn't be happier right now. I just could not be happier in London right now with you.
Yeah, I think going through all of that, going through a lot mentally for me, I think, and for you as well. Like if I go back
meant to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Thank you.
Anyways, guys, so that's all for the video. I would say I hope y'all enjoyed it, but if I break up so if y'all have any questions about this in the comments, don't be afraid to ask me. I'll be answering questions. Also, guys, if y'all want to see some more story times, not probably as serious as this. If y'all like story times together, give the video a big thumbs up and we'll definitely do some more of those. And also guys, if y'all want a follow from me and Ant, all you have to do is hit the bell, subscribe, and comment down below. The notification squad shout out. And if y'all do all three of those things, well, we're gonna go follow you. Alright guys, that's all the video. We're gonna go and I'm gonna see you guys next tomorrow with a new video. Alright, bye.
I'm tired.